Hi motherfuckers, the second best women ever, Hobby Fan have returned to the boards to play the FIDE Women's World Team Championship, representing China of course, and in this video I'm going to show us his victory against Goryachkina in the semifinals against the Russia team, who finally end the winners of the tournament, but at least Hobby Fan won this very good game against Goryachkina. Okay, Aleksandra opened with e4, c5, knight f3, d6, and now bishop b5, the Moscow, the Moscow variation. Bishop d7, bishop takes, queen takes, and now c4, that's the main line. Going for a Morozov structure, knight f6, knight c3, g6, d4. I'm not going to stop in the opening because all these moves are so normal. C takes, knight takes, bishop g7, f3. And there are thousands of things with this position. Sword castle, bishop e3, knight c6, sword castle. Here black have some moves, but a6 that's the main, a6 is the main move. Here comes the first, not surprise, but not main move by Goryachkina until here everything is normal. That's the main position of the lane of this lane of the Moscow. And let's see that with knight b3 there are only 33 games. Here queen d3 and a4 are the main moves of the position, but they have the idea of knight b3. The idea of this move is play b5, play c5. That's the main point of this move. And open the d5 for the rooks, avoid trades, and prepare c5 one day. Okay, for example, if black games with rook c8, here we can play queen e2, defending c4, queen c7, I suppose queen c7, rook ac1, e6, rook, and now we can play rook f1 followed by f4, king h1, or just keep the rook on f1 and play with f4, king h2, king h1, sorry, f4. But one day we're going to play the rook on d1. So okay, here knight b5 play by Yifan, completely normal move. Queen e2, and now black have some ways to play. How you find one with queen c7, who is not the best. Who's stronger to place the queen on c6, and if c5 just take, bishop takes and rook e8, rook c1, rook d8 place the rooks in the center, and bishop here just knight c4. Or rook c8 is another possibility, but now comes the white idea, c5 all the time. That's the white plan. It takes and rook d1, queen e6, knight c5, winning another tempo to the queen, queen c4, now knight d3. Queen c7, knight takes, queen takes, and f4, and white is slightly better here. By the way, queen c7 played by Yifan is not the best move, but it's completely normal, of course. Now c5 by Goryachkina, rook d8, and now she should take on d6, because of course you cannot take with the rook because f4. That's a huge difference with the queen on c6. Sorry, no, nothing. C5 rook d8 is later the moment that c takes d6. Here, rook cannot take because f4 followed by 5 win a piece. So black should take with the pawn, and piece of d5 or queen f2 here are fine. What's the problem? That Goryachkina played rook d1, which is a bad move, is after rook e8. D-take here was another possibility. But okay, white have a lot of compensation for the pawn. But rook e8 and finally Goryachkina take on d6, bad move, and f4 was stronger. Because now black have the extra option of take with the rook without double his pawns. Because if f4 now the rook is not, there are not going to be a double attack after a possible e5, or no, not e4 maybe. That's a huge defense that now white is not playing f45. But okay, it takes d6, bishop d5, queen b8, and now this is a key moment of the game because okay, until here Goryachkina are playing more or less normal, but here she made I'm not going to say a mistake, but because she played a normal move, but she doesn't understand the essence of the position. White have his pieces good placed, but the b3 knight is bad placed. So she should play knight a1, brilliant move, with the idea of king to c2 and later goes to d5 via b4 or via e3. So knight a1, very very good move here to improve the knight to d5. Okay, instead of that, knight d4 here, that's another proof of the knight, but I really prefer knight a1. By the way, king h1 is playable, rook c8, bishop f6, bishop f6, knight d5, bishop here f4. Here, okay, knight c4 was a possibility, but now f5 is coming, and f6 and h3. So Goryachkina, how Yifan returned to 97, f5, b5, um, queen g4, and knight a5 was fine, but queen g4. Here, the best move was knight b6. It's not logical, just trading the best piece of our opponent. The white best piece is the knight on d5, so we are just trading that. Let's do that, okay. And she play queen h7, it's logical too. Queen h4, preparing to attack, knight d5. And here, Goryachkina play knight d2 is not my favorite move. I prefer rook d2, just avoiding rook c2 because black idea is entering the 7 rank with the rook, so rook d2 just avoid that move. But h3 was interesting. Okay, the problem of knight d2 is that now rook c2 is coming with so strength. Now it was just better to return to b3 with a knight and just play rook c1, covering occupying the c5. Instead of that, he played knight f3 with a bad move, and after that, just black take the advantage he takes. And now just black start to recollect pawns in the 7 rank, and white have no attack. Knight f6, he trade this knight but he have no attack because now the f5 is closed, so he only have the knight and the queen to attack, but it's not enough because the bishop and g7 defense so well. So he just trade the knight, but this doesn't work. Black just still taking more pawns. Okay, white is still in the game, but black is just winning now. We are grouping, defending the king. Um, yes, he just take another pawn and the rook hanging with 2 pawns, 2 extra pawn is completely winning. So I'm not going to analyze the rook hanging because it's so easy. So okay, great victory of Hou Yifan, who okay doesn't give nothing to China because Russia advanced to the next round because the rest of partners of Goryachkina win their games. But okay, at least that's a good victory of Hou Yifan of his return of the board. I'm analyzing more game of the tournament, so let's see the games. Bye bye, motherfuckers.